Hello friends and welcome to Malhotra's IAS. So today we are going to discuss a very important report that is very relevant for your UPSC civil services examination, especially the preliminary examination. So this is the report, that is the Global Risks report, the latest version of it published in 2022. That is what we are going to discuss in this video. You can always use the recommendations of these reports or the observations of these reports in writing your mains answer also. So it's relevant both for pre and mains, but more specifically for the preliminary exam. So let's start the discussion. So first let's see what are the basics about this report. So basically this is an annual report, that means it is published every year by the World Economic Forum, or WEF. This is the key point. Preliminary में ऐसे ही question आते हैं when they ask you to match some reports with the organization that publishes that report. ठीक है, तो ये याद रखना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम ग्लोबल रिस्क्स रिपोर्ट पब्लिश करती है, कभी भी प्री में पूछा जा सकता है, राइट? ओके, सो नाउ बेसिकली व्हाट डज दिस रिपोर्ट टेल अस अबाउट? ओके, सो दिस रिपोर्ट बेसिकली शोज अस द वेरियस काइंड ऑफ रिस्क्स दैट आर प्रेजेंट, that can impact our businesses, that can have an impact on our societies, our people, the humans living on the earth, or even the political stability and instability. All of those are determined by different type of risks that this report discusses. So जैसे पिछली ग्लोबल रिस्क रिपोर्ट ने ये वार्न किया था वर्ल्ड को कि सप्लाई चेन डिसरप्शंस हो सकती हैं, एंड वी सॉ ड्यूरिंग द कोविड टाइम बिकॉज देयर वर लॉकडाउन्स स्टार्टिंग विद चाइना, सो वी फाउंड दैट सप्लाई चेन्स वर severely disrupted because China was the main supplier of industrial products, industrial raw materials especially, to the entire world. तो ऐसी कुछ predictions ये रिपोर्ट देती है so that policy makers better policy decisions ले सके फ्यूचर के रिस्क्स को ध्यान में रखते हुए. ओके, सो अब हम 2022 की डिस्कस करेंगे कि इन्होंने क्या रिस्क्स हाईलाइट किए हैं. सो बेसिकली ये पूरे रिस्क्स को 5 कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड करते हैं. द इकोनॉमिक रिस्क्स, एनवायरमेंटल रिस्क्स, जियोपॉलिटिकल रिस्क्स, सोसाइटल एंड टेक्नोलॉजिकल रिस्क्स. सो all kind of risks are basically categorized into these 5 categories by this report every year. Okay, so let's discuss the first kind of risks, that is the technological risks. So see, technology is processing on a fast pace all around the world. Okay, so it is providing us lot of benefits also. We are able to connect to anyone sitting across the world, sitting across the globe. Okay, that is the kind of development that technology has made. But there are also risks that this technology has raised. One such risk is the issue of digital inequality or the issue of digital divide. So this technology is not equally accessible to everyone. हमने कोविड टाइम पे भी देखा है, while there are some children who can easily access digital education, high-end education in these difficult times, but there are many people, there are many children who have been left out of education system just because they cannot access the basic, they don't have that technology, smartphones or data, internet packages or electricity itself to, study in an online medium. So that is the kind of risk that technology puts in front of us. That is the first example of what technological risks can the world see. So इससे social inequality बढ़ती है. It will also destabilize the economy of the country because half of the population or more than that might not be able to leverage their own potential. यहाँ बच्चे पढ़ नहीं पा रहे हैं तो ये इकोनॉमी में contribute कैसे करेंगे फ्यूचर में. So that is how technology becomes a risk. Also, the second example of technological risk we can say is the risks posed by your cyber technology. Now we are seeing that there is increasing use of internet and all its applications to make the tasks of the people easier these days, but there are a lot of issues or risks that it raises to, and one such risk is the cyber security failures. So आप बहुत बार सुनते हैं न्यूज़ में there are ransomware attacks. Okay, somebody steals a company's data and then they ask for a huge ransom or firoti to give back that data to that company. So you see, the report mentions that there has been more than 435% increase in the ransomware attacks in 2020. So that is the kind of threat cyber security, cyber technology is posing to the world. It leads to data theft. It can lead to financial losses to the company as ransom is being asked. Okay, it can also lead to reputational damage of the company जिसका data loss हो रहा है. तो what will people think, that the company is not good enough to protect its own data? How will it ensure the interests of the consumer? So that kind of issues it raises, and fines and etc. are also levied. So this is the second example of what kind of technological risks that the world and the society is facing, and those need to be worked upon by the present governments, right? Now the report secondly talks about the social risks. So you see, we saw that COVID happened, and because of that there was huge migrant crisis. Migrants did not have food, they were unemployed as a result of the lockdown, and they didn't even have access to any shelter, food, water or anything like that. So they walked thousands of miles back to their homes. Okay, so such are the risks that are arising in the society today because of the infectious diseases, viral diseases that we see all around the world. Not just COVID, इससे पहले भी Ebola के case में we have seen that it created a lot of hue and cry, especially in the African nations. African nations are very much prone to such viral or bacterial diseases because of the geographical and unsanitary living conditions. So they spread around the globe. They do not remain restricted to Africa. They spread across the world and cause social issues like the one we saw at the time of migrant crisis in India as a result of COVID, right? It also leads to, COVID led to lockdown, lockdown led to industrial shutdown resulted in unemployment, resulting in no food, no shelter, and causing this migrant outflux from the cities. So these kind of social risks are present because of the infectious diseases that are increasing. Also, the livelihood crisis is there around the world, especially in India. If you see the PLFS survey, which basically assesses the employment scenario in the country, that has said that the unemployment levels in India are high, are very high. So when people do not have employment, they cannot earn a livelihood for themselves. They will not be able to have food or shelter, and this will result in social issues like theft, like crime, okay, like murders, okay. So in that way, livelihood crisis will lead also to social cohesion, erosion. For example, people will be fighting for the few opportunities that they have. इसका एक बहुत अच्छा example है sons of soils slogan जो हम देखते हैं महाराष्ट्र में. You saw this happening when they said Maratha, jobs in Maratha, Maharashtra should be for Marathas. Also some states are making such laws providing reservation for the people of the state within the private sector. Okay, government में तो reservation है ही, but they are extending it to private sector. So that is also happening. Because of livelihood crisis, and also it is eroding the social connectivity or social unity of the entire nation. So these kind of risks are also arising according to the report. Okay, then we have also seen a lot about the environmental risks that are on rise because of the loss of forest cover, because of rising temperatures, okay, because of deforestation. All that has caused lot of worry all around the world. That has given rise to a lot of risks around the world, like it has led to health impacts, lot of health impacts on the population. जैसे जैसे air pollution बढ़ेगा वैसे वैसे हमारे health पे impact भी बढ़ेगा. Then also we have seen migration, environmental migration, because of for example you see in these sea areas, in the coastal areas, because of the rising sea level, people are not able to perform agriculture or have their house in those areas, so they migrate from there to find better opportunities in other urban areas, and this again leads to social cohesion issues. सोशल कोहेजन इश्यूज़, क्योंकि अर्बन एरियाज़ में भी इतनी लाइवलीहुड अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ नहीं है कि वो बाहर से आने वाले लोगों की भी नीड्स को मीट कर पाए. ठीक है, सो दिस इन्वायरमेंटल इशू अगेन लीड्स टू सोशल इशू ऑल्सो. ओके, likewise you see extreme temperatures are also leading to deaths, for example because of heat waves. Okay, so such environmental risks also pose a great threat to our society, to our economy के लिए भी costs बढ़ रही हैं. जैसे जैसे the temperature is rising, the air conditioning costs are rising. Okay, उससे ज़्यादा labor को, the industries have to give a break to the labor from 1 to maybe 3 to 4 p.m. or 12 to 3 p.m. because the working temperature is not available at that time. Okay, in many cities in Telangana and many other cities and states, it's a policy to shut down public transport when we have peak summer during these hours. So these productive hours are getting lost to the rising temperature also. So that is how environmental risks are posing threats to our society and economy. And that is why these risks also need to be handled carefully by the policymakers, the report says. Okay, the next category of risks are the geopolitical risks. Okay, so now we are seeing increasing confrontation of countries in various spheres. First being the confrontation in South China Seas, or you can also say Indo-Pacific region has become a hot spot of geopolitical activity. Okay, many countries are confronting each other here and trying to assert their domination over this region and the resources of this region. Similarly, the most recent issue in the news has been the issue of Ukraine, NATO trying to get nearer to the areas of Russia, while Russia trying to push it back from its eastern edge. So all these confrontations also raise issues for the world economy and society, क्योंकि अगर किसी भी जगह पे war होती है, it will lead to loss of lives, it will lead to loss of economy, income. ठीक है, war is always comes with a lot of expenditure, military expenditure. So these geopolitical risks also pose a threat to the society as well as the economy around the world, right? Last and final risks are the economic risks. Obviously, there are issues in the economy around the world also which will endanger the economic and social political interests of countries. So like debt crises are there, people or companies or even countries are not able to repay their debt. So this will create an issue for the entire world economy. Okay, so these will have to be managed well. Then there is also increase in illicit activity around the world, like fake currency, like trafficking or terrorist financing. So all these economic risks will again lead to instability in society and impact the economy of the world negatively. So these risks also need to be taken care of by the policy makers. So that was all about this global risks report of 2022. Please do remember the main parameters, the 5 parameters, then the organization, that is WEF publishing it being an annual report, and the basic aims of this report. These will be very useful for you in your UPSC examination. Thank you so much for watching.